Two gyms shut down and EverProven stepped in to help the members. That in part landed the gym on Two Brain's top 10 leaderboard for set, show, and close rate. Today on Run a Profitable Gym, you're going to learn how you can help people and grow your business if nearby gyms shut down. I'm Mike Warkentin. Please hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode just like this. My guest today, Matt Michaud of EverProven. He scored a trifecta on our sales leaderboards. 3 of them: set rate, show rate, close rate. Very quickly, set rate, the number of people who book appointments at your gym. Show rate, the number of people who show up for those appointments. Close rate, the number of people who show up and buy. These are 3 really important leaderboards because they are your funnel into your gym for new members. Now, the top numbers on our leaderboards this month: 91, 68, 54. So that's 54 closes after 91 appointments set, all from a gym in Mexico, which is really cool. Matt at his gym did 47, 28, and 22. So that's 22 closes with 28 appointments, or people showing up, pardon me. And there's an interesting wrinkle. He had 2 gyms nearby closed, and Matt offered a home to the members. Now, it sucks when gyms close down. We need more of them, not less, but it does happen. And regularly we see strong gyms say, how can I help out the members nearby when they lose their workout homes? This, of course, benefits the gym, but we're not talking about rubbing our hands together here and hoping the other gyms fall down, because we really want more people working out rather than less. But that said, it's your duty as a gym owner to keep people working out. And if their gym closes, you should step in to help. So Matt, let's talk about helping other gyms. How do you feel about that?
I feel great about it.
All right. So first, give me the backstory. What happened with the other gyms that closed? Like, what's the story and how do you fit into this whole thing?
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, great. So the first thing I think what happened was there was a local chain gym. It's an Orange Theory. And from what I understand, the franchise itself got bought out by a corporate. And then like Anytime Fitness, like big corporate chain, came through and purchased a bunch of these, or like the majority of the chains. And they took and looked at what gyms were underperforming, and they shut down the ones that were not performing to their new standard, I'm assuming. Yep. There was another one down the road that just was struggling, a couple towns away from us, happened to have a few other people in our town that we were also able to kind of attract as well.
Okay. So did you have any inkling that these things were happening, or was it just like, they're gone?
Yeah. And like, honestly, I don't think they communicated these very well with their clients, to be first of all. I feel like the rug got pulled out on both these situations. Like, I think people felt stranded, to be honest with you. And I saw
see that. Yeah. And that's the thing that I was getting at the intro, when like, we often think of that, scarcity mindset, that the gym down the street is our competitor, but it's really not. We're competing against couches and screens and all those things that keep people on, from gyms. And when people are working out and a gym goes under and they, like you said, the rug gets pulled out, what do you got to keep them going, So here's the thing though. It feels awkward. We see this in our private groups for gym owners regularly. They'll say, a gym nearby closed out. What do? I don't want to look like I'm, pecking at the remains, or I don't want to look awkward. Like, how did you navigate the awkwardness of trying to help people keep their workout habits, when their gym went down?
Yeah, that's a great question. And to be honest with you, I think a lot of it had to deal with leading with kindness, leading with a help first mindset, and leading with, hey, let's put ourselves in their shoes and see how they feel. Right. And I think I got a unique way to answer that. And I can think of it in my own personal way from experiences I've had in my gym. So I want to start by saying it this way. I think gyms are a lifeboat for many people. And until you experience that, until you experience the ability, the responsibility that you have to create this atmosphere for somebody, and the ripple effect that you can have on their life, is really important to a lot of people. This isn't just working out for so many, right? And I think we know that, if all of us here, maybe that is in like, a bigger section, but I think the gyms that we're talking to here in the micro gym world are a little more personal, right? So story I like to share that makes me really cement that fact in is this. Maybe about 5 years ago, I was in my gym. I don't coach as much as I used to, but I was still pretty active on the floor then. And a client came to me at the end of a session and said, hey, once everybody's out of here, I need to talk to you about something. And I was like, okay, I thought, maybe it's a membership dispute or something like that. And I was like, this person has been with us for a long time. We got a great relationship. So I was like, all right, well, no problem. We'll sit down and we'll talk about whatever it is you need to talk about. And so they waited for everybody to clear out, and it was just me and that person that was left. And they handed me a piece of paper and they said, please read this. I want you to read it, and I want you to tear it up and throw it away.
And what's on that paper?
I started to read through this paper, and I start to like get emotional. I started even right now talking about it, I get goosebumps, right? Because this person is still in my gym, and it was their suicide note. Um,
No.
and they said, I want you to be the person to throw this away and tear this up because I
Wow.
don't need it anymore. Because 5 years ago, when I walked into your gym, it was the last ditch effort. It was my lifeboat. It was my ring of life. It was the last thing I tried to fix my life. And because of all the things I've gotten from it, I don't need this anymore. And that's the type of impact we're talking about. It's serious.
Wow. That's heavy.
So, obviously it's heavy and it's a real experience. And so at that moment, it cemented my reason for doing these things that I do. You can help somebody without even knowing it. And the ripple effect that helps their life is insurmountable. Like I can't measure that. Right. So
Everyone who knew that person, you helped them
right,
all, right?
exactly. So the impact on that person's children and their families and everything like that. So like that was heavy. It took me a lot to wrap my head around it. So that leads into what we're talking about today, right? So maybe there's somebody else that just got the rug pulled out from underneath them that's in that situation that doesn't have their lifeboat anymore, right? So if you think of it that way, you think of the impact that you can have by simply inviting somebody in and being kind because they're in a situation where, they're not, they've lost their home, right? So I put myself in their shoes. I asked my staff to put myself in their shoes. And I said, hey, can we look at these people instead of trying to be ultra salesy and ultra come into my gym and expect them to already think that they know what we are and expect us to think that we know who they are. Let's lead by asking them, how are you doing? I'm sorry this happened to you. I understand how important that community was for you. I understand what you had there. How can we help you? How can we make a difference in your life? I know it's not going to be the same. We're not promising you that it's going to be the same, but maybe we can keep the people that you care about together with you. Maybe we can help you a little bit more. Maybe we can help you continue the thing that you started. So that's what we led with. That's what we wanted to think about. I think in this world, we get really wrapped up a lot of times, and you have to pay attention to systems. You have to pay attention to numbers and metrics and those things. Those are very important, and I know that. But if we don't forget about the human side of this, you're going to be more successful moving forward. You're going to be able to take something that once was a stoked fire and that person got water dumped on them and hopefully maybe help them out a little bit. So that's kind of the lead of how we got into this and how we approach this whole situation with everybody.
Yeah, and I can't lay out a better example than you just came up with. That's one of the most powerful things I've heard in that sense. So we'll just let that one sit. But I will tell you, listeners, if you want to take this further, Help First is the book by Chris Cooper that will help you understand this concept in greater detail. I don't have it in the stack behind me because I'm reading it in another room, but check that out. We'll put a link in the show notes for you. The idea is you're not offering to sell people stuff. You're helping them. They have goals. They want to lose weight. They want to get stronger, faster, fitter. You're the expert. You know how to do it. And all you do is tell them, I can solve your problems like this. And if you offer that help, some of them are going to buy, and it doesn't feel like slimy sales, but that book will be in the show notes. Matt gave the greatest example I think I've ever heard of that concept in practice. So with that in mind, Matt, like we've covered the emotional end of it, and you're trying to help these people because of that note that you dealt with and so forth. But let's talk, we'll move like delicately into the mechanics of this because that's important too. Like, how did you connect with these people, and how did you, and again, we're not talking about targeting these people to steal their members. We're talking about helping them continue their journey. How did you get in touch with them? Or was it a natural thing, or did you have a plan? Or what'd you do?
Yeah. So when I first heard the rumor, I kind of wanted to solidify it. So I reached out to a couple of people I know that maybe have family members, the people in my gym that had family members that are going there, and they confirmed it for us. So I said, okay, well, what I want to do is contact the ownership. I want to contact the coaches first. And I want to say, hey, guys, I understand this is abrupt. I understand I'm out of nowhere, but I'm extending this olive branch to you as well, and I want to make sure that you have a place to go also. And I want you to know that we're going to try to reach out to your people. However, we don't want you to think that we're just like taking advantage of your situation. I don't want to kick somebody when they're down.
Yeah, and how was that received?
It was received really well because we did it. The way we did it was not in a way of like, again, it wasn't slimy sales. It was, I'm trying to help you. We're trying to be kind. And we led with like, we know that you guys made a humongous impact on these people. We know that you were important to them. We know that we are a different entity, but if you need a home, we're happy to take you on. It even went to the point of like, one of their coaches responded back to us and was like, I would love to talk to you about what it takes to coach for you. And so we ended up hiring one of their people.
So you saved a job too.
Correct. Yeah. So the mechanics of that were really like simple as far as like just being nice. Again, kindness and grace and like just be nice, you
Yeah,
know?
but people don't always know. Like the way you said that seems very natural, but we see gym owners in
Yeah.
our group say, "What do I do?" Yeah, well, be a human being. Let's start with that and go to the owner and say, "Oh man, can I help you?" And I love the way you said that. I'm not trying to kick you down when you're down. How are you doing? Right? Probably they're dealing with
Yeah.
like a floundering business, and then there's the shame and all that. Like, so you're helping them out too.
Yeah.
Did they put you in contact with members, or did they tell their members? How'd that go?
So what we did was they gave us the okay to start some marketing
Okay.
towards them. So we openly put a public post out, and we
Mhm.
knew a few people that were like over there, so we asked them to
That helps.
share it
Yeah.
and things like that. So we went down the route of affinity marketing, a little bit through social media, things like that.
Yeah.
We had just started doing targeted paid ads for the first time ever in our long history of being a gym. And so that kind of coincided with it, just coincidentally. So that was, we didn't try to target any ads towards them because I felt like that might be a little bit like mechanical, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
I
I
just
get
wanted
it.
to help first. So
Mhm.
I wanted it to be personal,
Mhm.
right? So if we didn't, if we didn't put it out there as a general cast the net ad, I think it was uh, more one-on-one. And then when
Mhm.
we were able to have these conversations with them, it was much more well received. Like again, we want to talk about you first, right?
Yeah.
So what can we do to help you?
Yeah, and that makes sense. Like I had a couple of experiences similar. Gym shut down nearby, and one of the members just found us because we were the next closest one, and they brought in a few of them, and they sat down, and we talked. We sat on medicine balls and had a chat, and it turned out they were like the test people who came in to see if we were cool or not, and then they brought their friends afterwards. So I'm sure with
Yeah.
you, you help a few people out to start, and you get a few other ones. And when we moved our gym, like our business, we shut it down, the physical space during COVID, and moved online. We felt really, really great that we had a couple of other local gyms that we knew were solid, where we could say to our members, "Hey, we're not doing this in a physical space anymore, but these people will take care of you." And we could trust and say, like, go see this person. And like,
Yeah.
maybe not that person over there. We didn't do it exactly like that, but there are gyms where your people are going to get treated the way you want them to be treated. And so you can help them out and at least give them that option. So it sounds like you really did that. You gave me in the intro a little bit of hints about your sales process here, because obviously this is going to be a little bit different. You're not here. You talked about helping and, talking about some feelings before you got into sales. Tell me a little bit more about that free consultation, which we call in 2 Minute No Sweat intro, which is a sales meeting, but for you, it was a little bit more than that.
Yeah, so we definitely deviated a little bit from the traditional one-on-one no sweat
Mm-hmm.
intro with this one a little bit. It was way more about how they're feeling again. And,
Yeah.
I think I've talked about that a little bit here, but I think one thing we did really different was we did it in a group setting as well.
Oh, did
So
you?
we brought in coaches. Yeah, we did. So we did, we were doing up to 4 people, considered it small group,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of went from there because now it's more than one person coming in. It didn't feel as dark and lonely as like I'm just going in here by myself, right? So we encouraged them to come in with people they already knew, right? It's people that were already, and everybody's feeling similarly. Like we had all
Mm-hmm.
lost our community. We're all looking for this collective space. When we had these conversations, we led it the same way, but it was almost like, well, how are you feeling? And then next person, next person, next person.
Mm-hmm.
It was good for our coaching staff as well, because they were not overwhelmed, because we were getting like 50 people all of a sudden doing these intros and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So doing it in a group setting was a little more capable for this particular time. And that's atypical. That's not how we want to normally do things. However, we did find the benefit of having an already established community walking into ours. We're just showing them what we're all about. We didn't have these expectations like they would know us already. And we knew that, we are going to be different. We're not going to assume that you guys already all know what we do. We're not going to assume that you're our typical avatar, because some of the people may have never found their way this way unless this happened. But I feel like we did a pretty good job of trying to mend that community from the get-go.
Okay, so that's interesting. So it was a group setting, and it was talking about like feelings and what these people had lost, and kind of I'll call it almost a counseling session, for lack of a better term. And then you get into like the sales stuff down the line. Did that go in the same kind of direction though? Whereas like, what are your goals? Like, was this the prescriptive model that Two Brain prescribes, where it's like, what are your goals? Here's how we solve them. Would you like to join? Was it kind of that thing at the end?
Yeah, exactly. It was. And like when if anything got really personal, then we were gonna like, okay, let's save that for a side
Sure.
conversation just for you. But I think that's definitely the way we went with it. I mean, the prescriptive model works and each group was gonna be a little bit different.
Mhm.
Our conversions were really high on these ones.
Mhm.
So, we had like 38 and immediately almost 38 of those people went right into an on-ramp program. And
Whoa.
we did it as small group again because we didn't want to overwhelm staff
Sure.
and things like that. So we usually run with PT first, which we did small group first this time.
So if you had a high conversion rate, obviously what you did worked really well. So Chris Cooper always talks about looking at the data.
Yeah.
You look at your sales data there for this group of members who lost their gym home. You convert at a really high level. That means what you did worked really well. So listeners,
For sure.
there's the proof that this is not just I did it, and this is some numbers to back that up. I'll ask you this because this is interesting. EverProven is your brand. You are also a CrossFit affiliate. Do you
Yep.
just do is it group training, PT, semi-private, or what's your offering there?
So we do everything. We
Yeah,
do large group, small group, a lot of personal training, a lot of young youth programs, things
Mhm.
like that. With a lot of sports teams nearby, but we do have all those things as small group and specialty courses. So definitely big on the personal training and the
Mhm.
small group training for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so you've got some flexibility in your model. How did that work when you had people coming over from Orange Theory, which is a very specific brand, and another coaching gym? Did they just slide right in because you were able to say, I get your goal, here's how we solve it here?
Yeah, for sure. I think the one thing that was very apparent and that they were very impressed about was the level of coaching they were receiving to come to us and the level
Ah,
of
that's
like
good.
diving in because they were going from a franchise where, and
Mhm.
like, first of all, I never want to talk back poorly about another gym. Orange Theory does great things. They're just
Mhm.
not the same as us, right?
They get people moving. They do a good job
For
of that.
sure. And certainly do that.
Mhm.
So I'm not saying anything bad about them. However, the level of involvement from our coaching staff is a little bit different here. We're not just cheerleading and saying, go faster, go harder. We're getting into the weeds of like, this is going to direct you to the things that you told me about. This is going to be the pathway that we talked about in your goal setting meeting,
Yeah.
right? We're going to be really specifically dialed in on those things. And obviously movement is a big thing of that, a big component of that, coming in and making sure that like correcting teaching, seeing, doing, and all those type of things. Very, very involved in those things. So feedback I've gotten so far is like, man, I've never been coached like this before. And we're still
Oh,
doing the cheerleading and the making people and the fist bumps and the high fives and all those
yeah.
things too.
Yeah.
So I think that, one of them told me, is like, man, are your coaches exhausted at the end of the day? I was like, no,
Yeah.
we all are. We get it. We are.
Yeah.
Anybody who's coached a class and really dives in and gives that, you're going to be exhausted by the end of it.
Wow. So, I mean, essentially what you've got is you're selling coaching, and that coaching can be for,
Yeah.
powerlifting, CrossFit, high rocks, whatever that can be. You're just picking the method in your toolbox that allow you to coach this person to their fitness goals. Orange Theory, we'll call it, commoditized intensity for lack of a better term. And it's a completely different thing. They're doing a good job getting people moving, but it's not exactly coaching, which is what you're selling. And that allows you a ton of flexibility to use whatever method and model whatever method you want to get results for the client. In terms of pricing, this is an interesting one. Were there differences in price between what they were paying and what you sold them? And how'd they
Yeah, there
react?
is. Obviously our small group training is going to be less expensive than one-on-ones are, personal training,
Yep.
things like that. I think our monthly is quite similar. From what I understand, and I could be wrong, so please don't take this
Yeah.
as absolute fact. But from what I understand, each Orange Theory has pricing is a little bit different. So it's not like the same at one franchise to the next one. But I know that we're similarly priced as far as large group pricing goes.
Mhm.
I think they were very happy to know that we do offer those extra things because I know that's one thing they don't offer. Like if
Mhm.
you want to work on your specific goals, like Orange Theory is not the place to do it. If you want to do one-on-one training, they don't
Yeah.
offer that. So backpedal a little bit. One of our full-time coaches that works for us currently, he's been with us for a couple of years now. Used to be a studio manager at Orange Theory when
Oh,
he first
handy.
was making the conversion to us. So that was helpful in this situation
Mhm.
too. But
Mhm.
he was making the conversion over to us. He started seeing personal training clients from Orange Theory at our gym. So
Okay.
he was part-time and then, do work coaching at both places and then eventually just coming on over with us. But,
Mhm.
that was a big thing to see that they were happy to be involved in something like that and be able to have that
Okay.
offering.
Did most of these new members from the other gyms go into a big group program, or did some of them go into those smaller groups or PT?
Yeah, so I think it's a split. So some of them are going into a large group, some of them are continuing with small group in their or established group, but a lot of them are doing a hybrid model. So some of them are doing like
Oh,
large group and doing some small group over here, in some one-on-ones. And so what we're trying to do is integrate when they do attend a large group, because they're sometimes, they're in that circle like any times. Like you go to a meeting with a bunch of unfamiliar faces. Most of us, if you're there with three people, are going to sit at the same table with the people and
yeah.
aren't going to branch out and sit with other people. So we've been intentionally trying to be like, hey, Jim, this is Bob. Bob's new here. Can you be a mentor for Bob today and go ahead and take him through the class obviously with the coach, but make sure he doesn't get lost. Make sure he knows where the foam rollers are. Make sure he knows where the dumbbells are and things like that. So that does two things. It creates a friend for the new person, and it makes that already established member not feel like all the attention is going over here.
Yes.
And also validates, hey, I trust you as a valued client of mine to go and help this person. So that's one of the other things we've been trying to do with those hybrid people that are coming in and doing both. Make sure that they branch out a little bit and extend their circle a little bit.
Okay, because that's a danger is when you put a whole bunch of people in your gym at one time, and I've done this, you can get some weird vibes. And if you don't have the right
Yeah.
people, like it gets weird. And all of a sudden your existing members can start to look over there and say, why is that new client getting a new free
Yeah.
toaster and I'm not, and that's a big thing.
100%.
Did you have any, like you obviously put something very specific in place where you had like kind of these workout buddies, for lack of a better term, that were like kind of leading them through the business. Did you do anything else just to make sure that your staff didn't get overwhelmed, your systems didn't get overwhelmed, and your
Yeah.
members didn't get upset?
Yeah, so starting with members. I think we just encouraged our coaches to start reaching out more, and so we increased the amount of we use a CRM, just like we use Gym Lead Machine,
Yep.
and we started increasing our contacts on there and making sure that, hey, we know there's an influx of people here coming through. How are you feeling too? And that's been well received, and making sure we're having those communication touch points to make, for them
That's
to
a good
be
one.
able to say, hey, I love this. Hey, I don't like it so much. A couple of our classes are impacted by it because we're seeing, like in a large group, we're seeing more people, right? So we're having discussions on the back end in our weekly coaches meeting about how the coaches are feeling with that, and then discussing like, hey, how do you think everybody's receiving this? But reaching out and making sure that we're having that open line communication on all fronts. As far as systems go, we got to obviously keep reevaluating what's working and what's not working. So I'm working closely with our GM on making sure that everything is still going the same way. She's got a pretty good ear down to the railroad tracks on that. And I think things are going pretty well. We're going to have to make some changes with that influx of people. We're going to probably be adding some more coaching, some more large group sessions, and then more opportunities to offer small group and personal training and things like that. My gym is busy. I put up a post in one of our groups recently, and there was a lot of people in the gym at once, but there was all different things happening. So I had a large group, a small group, 3 PTs, and a no sweat intro happening at once, and that was last Wednesday.
Wow.
And so, like, good things to have happening, but got to take care of the staff too, and do pulse checks on them and make sure, hey, I appreciate you. Hey, thank you. So one of my goals for today is to go get them some coffee gift card and be like, hey, I know you're busting your butt. Here, have a coffee on me.
Yeah. And that's wise because it can happen. We did a challenge, a 6-week challenge back in the day. The ads worked just great, brought in a ton of people. It was a revenue PR month for us, but the gym was out of control. The systems were starting to rattle. Screws were falling out. Everything was going wrong. Staff was stressed. Our members, our existing long-term members, were starting to get a little weird about the whole thing because the gym was over full and coaching wasn't up to the right level. You got to have your systems in place. You have to have your staff on board. If you're in this position, listeners, and you see a gym that's closing, you offer to help, make sure that you've got a whole plan for your business so that you don't see the screws rattling out of the machine, because once they're out, it's a big problem, very tough to fix on the fly. So the weight of new members needs to be managed carefully. And Matt's giving you some great tips for doing that. The best thing, communicate with your staff, with your existing people, with the new people. That's a huge start. Just communicate and then put some plans in place that are firm. So Matt, we're going to move out of the mechanics of helping members of a gym that shut down. And I want to ask you about your sales funnel in general. We'll just go back to like the general thing. So like your day-to-day, I have an appointment, I have a sale. What would you do differently to improve already great numbers in your funnel?
I think one of the things that we could do a lot better at is specifically when you have that client that comes in. So running new running ads now.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting some leads that are coming in and they might be a little colder than normal. So once we get those people that come in, it's not our warm and fuzzies that we normally have with everybody. Sometimes those people are, you have those first 5 minutes, you know, that person's probably not going to buy something from you today, and that's okay. What we need to do better at is making sure that we follow through and make them have an incredible experience, even though you know they're not going to be making a purchase today, so that when they do want to make a purchase, they think of us and remember, hey, they were nice to me. They were kind. They took care of me when I came in. So little touch points of like, hey, can I grab you a water? Hey, thank you for coming in today. Where'd you come from? And getting to know them a little bit. Mm-hmm. And that way we can also have some meat to follow up with in our touch points, you know, like, hey, I remember that you told me that your daughter had a dance recital. How'd that go? You know, little things. Make sure we're investing even in the people that aren't going to make a sale. We're not going to make a sale with that day. That's okay. Because then if we're kind and we're nice and we take care of them, they're going to remember that those guys were pretty good to me. And when it's time to make a decision, hopefully they remember us. Mm-hmm. And we've seen that work in the past, but we could be better at it for sure.
Do you have a long-term lead nurture sequence or anything like that that helps these people, you know, stay connected to those people after they don't buy?
Yeah, we do definitely have like a system of making sure that we do reach back, texts, phone calls, yep. emails, things like that. If they're in our system, we're going to keep contacting them until they tell us not to. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be, you know, yeah, exactly. And that's the whole point. Is like, hey, I still want to help you. If you want to be able to connect with me, here's my info. Here's the things we can do. And then a lot of times too, we run some social media groups where we're able to kind of like, hey, remember you did an intro. It's okay that you're not coming in with us, but here's a group that's super helpful. Maybe it'll help you reach your goals. And we post a lot of helpful things in there. And a lot of times that's gets traction for sure.
Yeah. And that's something to remember. That's a great tip that Matt brought up, listeners, is when you start to run ads, like if you're doing affinity marketing and referrals and things like that, you're getting slam dunks a lot of times in the sales office because my best friend came in and I've told them for 6 months that this gym is amazing and I've lost 20 pounds and I look stronger. That person is almost certainly going to join. And sometimes that can obscure holes in your sales process because you're getting these ultra hot leads that are just like throwing credit cards at you. When you start getting down the chain further and getting into like people who are stuck to a couch or have some real fears about gyms or any of that other stuff, we'll call it colder traffic that comes from a lead, you're going to have to do some stuff to nurture them. You might not hit it out of the home run or hit the home run in the first sales meeting. And again, there are sales skills that you can learn. A two-brain mentor can teach you how to sell and close and that help first mentality. Again, get that book in the show notes, but some people are just going to leave. And if you just say, they're gone, they didn't buy, that's a mistake. You can put them into a long-term nurture. I love what you said. Send them a text. Hey, I just wanted to let you know, thanks for the meeting yesterday. I hope you made it to your, the son's ballet recital on time or whatever. If you ever need, I'm here anytime you have a question. Just a personal note like that is a huge deal. Feed them into your automated sequences, whatever you need to do, but keep in touch with these people because if you keep sending them info, at some point they might see the thing that they need to see to get moving and get off the couch and come see you. And again, that help first mentality, you're not annoying them because you want their money. You came in for a reason. You have a health concern or a fitness problem that needs solving. I can solve it. And when you're ready, I'm here. That's the mentality. And that changes everything. Help first book in the show notes. Matt, any other advice that you would give to gym owners? We covered a lot of stuff here. Is there anything else that you would tell them, either sales or gym nearby shut down?
I would say just keep your ear to the ground and make those connections ahead of time, right? So
there's a good one.
I think one thing that we've done really well is I'm kind of like the type of person that knows that we're in a tri-city area. We're 3 small cities and there's a lot of people here and there's enough for everybody. Like if somebody down the road opens a gym, cool. Like go make that connection with them because you never know what's going to happen. And it could be something that brings you people later on. And so in the past, we've actually done that. We were very kind to another gym. And when this is previous, probably right around COVID, 2 of those people now that own their own gym, they work for us now and they work full time for us.
That's
so,
cool.
And they've both said that, if you weren't so kind, maybe wouldn't have landed there, but there's enough for everybody. And you can learn from each other and you can help them be better because if somebody in your neighborhood is better, you're going to look better for everybody else. So if we're all putting out really good stuff, I think it rises, like, what does it say? Rising tide raise all ships. Like if you got these skills you can share with somebody, it will never hurt you to be kind and be helpful to somebody else in the same world as you. There's enough for everybody. I promise.
How big is your town or that Tri-City area? people? What are we talking about population?
We're in the city of Dover. We're about 40,000, and then there's two other cities about the same size. So we'll say like between all the small towns and everything, probably even a 10-15 mile radius is probably 150,000 people. So there's 320 coming to my gym. Right, 200 CrossFit members and then 120 or so small group and personal training members. That's a drop in the bucket.
Yep.
There's so many other people that we can help, and all of us there's enough for everyone again.
Yeah, but it's so tempting, and especially in a smaller town, it's so tempting to say there's only so many people and I want all of them, and the gym down the road is my enemy, but that's really not the way to do it. And so I would encourage you, Matt said it great, like, reach out to other gym owners just to say hi, have a referral network. It might come down to it where it's like you get someone in a no sweat intro and you're trying to help them and you can't help them at your gym. And you say that gym down the road is going to be perfect for you. And an example 100%. For me, yeah, we had that at my gym. I didn't want to deal with competitors anymore. It was not a focus for me, but there was a gym that did. And so whenever a person said, I want to go to the CrossFit Games or I want to do this in competition, I was like, that's an amazing goal. The best place for you is that gym over there. And that's where you should go. I'm just not the best option for you. They're going to solve that problem. And it was great because eventually things came back the other way and it works out nicely like that. So know your local gym owners. And again, you guys are united against the couch and screens. It's not fighting against each other for those few clients that are already working out. That's kind of a sucker's game, right? Because it doesn't work like that. Matt's the example and the proof. All right, Matt, I'm going to let you go. I know you got to go get some coach's coffee, so I'm not going to hold you here any longer. Thanks so much for sharing this. This episode is going to help some gym owners, especially when another gym goes down. We don't want to see it, but we want the members to keep working out. Thanks for being here.
100%. Thank you for having me. I'm really appreciative of Two Brain and being on here.
Yeah, we love having you in the group. This is Matt Michaud, Run a Profitable Gym. Thanks for listening. Please hit subscribe on the way wherever you're watching or listening because there's more shows like this coming and we're going to solve problems for you as gym owners.